So it is November 2023. I've stopped counting months because, I suppose I should be counting months after long COVID now. So I guess I'm about 5 months post-recovery now. And I realised I hadn't done one of these for a while, so here we are. I think the last wee while has been quite interesting in a lot of ways. I mean, it's been wonderful. But I think I'm really really having to learn how to balance regular stress. And I think pre-COVID, my stress levels were so unbelievably high that I wasn't even aware of them, because that was all I ever knew. And now, having been through long COVID and come out healthier, which, as I have now realised, that is definitely a good thing, I'm now so much more aware of things like stress levels and different sorts of stress. So things like physical stress, how much physically have I done this week? Cognitive, have I spent all day from 9 till 9 in front of my laptop? Actually, last week I pretty much did. Things like emotional stress. Did my partner and I have an argument? All of these things that add up. And, when you have long COVID, any type of these little things can send you over the edge into a crash, which is horrendous. But like a regular healthy person, as I now am, which sounds incredibly boring, doesn't it? But it's wonderful. Everyone has stress in their lives. That is normal. So it's how do we deal with it, and how do we know when there is too much and that we need to do something about it. And I think, this is something that I am learning. So, I've just launched a new business, and there's been quite a lot of stuff, that's stuff with a capital S, to do for that. There's a huge amount of setup, there's a huge amount of discussion, there's design, there's, all of these things. So I've been putting in a lot of hours onto that, and I've been handling it, and that's wonderful. But I've definitely been aware of it as well, which I wouldn't have been before. So, there was a lot of stuff. And then 2 weeks ago, I had a week's holiday. In fact, it was slightly more than a week. It was a sneaky 10-day holiday, where we went away. And we went away for a week to a place that we'd stayed back about 18 months ago. And I think, this is a kind of marker point almost, where, we can't help but look back at times like birthdays, at times like Christmas, at times like our COVID anniversary. We look back and we think, right, well, how has it been over the last year, for example? And this was one of those moments. So last time I was in Arisaig, I was really unwell. I actually had a better week than I'd had preceding, but I still wasn't able to do what I wanted. I still pushed myself too much some of the time, or if I didn't push myself too much, then I was frustrated that I couldn't. So it was very frustrating, but it was wonderful to get away. And counter that with the week that we were away 2 weeks ago. I mean, the difference is just insane. It's just such a huge difference. I didn't think about pacing. I didn't think about any of these things. I just went and did things, and it was wonderful. So I think this was one of those moments where I was just like, oh my goodness. I know that I'm recovered, and I know that I'm very lucky, and I know that life is wonderful. I mean, it's not all the time, but, compared to what it was. But I think there are some moments that really stick out, and you go, whoa, whoa, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's huge. But I think the other thing that I really noticed was, oh my goodness, did I need that holiday? It was, it had been quite stressful beforehand, and it was just so wonderful to take that time and allow myself that week, 10 days off. The last 3 days where I was literally off the grid with no mobile signal, and it was just incredibly refreshing. And then coming back from that holiday, and you take a week off and you don't answer your emails, and then you come back to your email inbox and you're like, oh my goodness, that's a lot. So this past week has been quite intense. There's just been so much to do. And I have literally just finished teaching my first breathing class for the new business, and it feels absolutely wonderful. I am so excited for this new venture, and it feels like all of those long hours that I've been putting in over the last, month or longer, it's kind of like the culmination of that. It's like, oh my goodness, I did it. I did it. I put in all the prep and I showed up and I was there, and yeah, it feels amazing. But I think I think this is, what I was talking about with stress and normal stress and okay stress and too much stress. And I know that barring the week when I was on holiday, the last, say, 6 weeks there's been a lot. There's been a lot to do. There's been a lot to prepare. There's been a lot to discuss. There's been a lot. And, that's fine because I knew there was an end game. But if that carries on and on and on, that's the pattern I was in before. That's not healthy. So, I now know that, now we've actually started, then it's actually far less stressful now. And I just need to settle in and do what I know I can do. That doesn't mean that there's not going to be any admin. That doesn't mean that there's not going to be any stress, because of course there's going to be. I'm human and the world is the world. But, now I can kind of relax a little bit, focus a little bit more on things like boundaries that I maybe have not been quite so hot on in the last few weeks. And just taking a bit more time for myself. And I am just so incredibly excited to do that. So it's this kind of, up and down of busyness, up and down of stress, and, a couple of weeks of stress, that's okay. Couple of years of stress, not so okay. So, tomorrow morning I am taking the morning off, and tomorrow morning is for me. And let's face it, I've earned that and I'm excited for it. So yeah. Learning more about me, learning more about stress, learning about how to go forward and how to be healthier as a result, I guess.